was born in a lump. Mama died and Daddy got drunk. Left me here to...
It was a story to dine out on. For most of my life, I'd carefully drop it into conversations at parties and dinners. Did I ever tell you about the time I worked for the Nazis? How could a lad born in a Lancashire village years after the war have worked for the Nazis? And when I finished telling my story, I used to ignore the questions always asked about what happened between Adam and Clyde that day out near the tobacco kilns. A tobacco farm, Dawn, Southern Ontario, April 1973. I just found out that my new boss, Adam Muller, is an ex-member of the SS. You, the new worker. What is your name? Richie. You English, ja? Das ist gut. I like English. Your father. Was sind Sie vor? Your father would have been trying to kill me 30 years ago. Did your father kill many Germans, Richie? Well, I am a very good shot. I kill plenty of English. But mostly I kill French. Today, we are going to start to replant missing tobacco plants. Watch carefully, and I will show you. You take 5 steps. You are looking for little tobacco plant. If you see little tobacco plant, you take 5 more steps. If no little tobacco plant, you make a hole for the plant. Then you put the plant in the hole. You tuck earth around the plant. So gentle. Pat, pat. Then you give plant a little kiss. Why you give plant a little kiss? Because we love little tobacco plant. My father never taught much about the war, and even less about the killing side. Not until 1990 when Alzheimer's struck and it all came tumbling out. A jumbled up mix of memories. Yeah, that is good. You see, in 5 months, this little plant, it will grow here. And it has long leaves. And these leaves are like dollar bills. And they wave to me. You'll not miss any. That is good. Ah, you English, you work hard. Not like the others. You and me, we come from Europe. We come to this country for different reasons, but we are the same. Thousands of years of our fathers, and their fathers, and their fathers before them, being true people of the folk. The words, they come easier in German. I like you, Richie. Because you are like me, and not like the others. Do you like me? I'm interested. Why are you here? Ah, a girl. Yeah, now I understand. Pour chercher la femme. Do you like jig-a-jig? Of course you like jig-a-jig. You man, like me. Your girl. Is she a Canuck? And where did you meet? In England. And you fall in love. That is nice. And now you are here, working for me. Why you work for me? Tell all that, your friend. I didn't realise. I thought that Canada was still part of the Commonwealth. And that I could just come here and work and... It's not. You had to have a working visa. So I had no money, I couldn't get a job. So I said to Ursula that evening, "Hey, did you know that Adam Muller is ex-SS?" She said, "Sure, but I thought you'd prefer him to Walter Bear, who used to be in Gestapo." Not easy for an English lad, this. You see, her mother was German, so it was easier to work illegally within a community, even if there were a few ex-Nazis. Ursula explained that a lot of Germans had emigrated after the war. Some had money, and some, had been in the war. And is that a crime? That didn't stop us arguing about the whole German Nazi thing. So she took me to her mother's house, and down into the cellar. The cellar was full of chest freezers, stuffed full with frozen meat and vegetables. Long shelves carefully stacked with rows of tin food. Boxes stacked underneath packed with rice, pasta, and of course sauerkraut. Like a supermarket storeroom, enough to withstand a siege. Ursula explained that her mother's family were from Berlin. They hadn't been poor before the war, but by 1945, anything her mother's family had was gone. She was like thousands of other Berliners, left stranded in a city that was being starved. She was still only 14. She had no food except what she could scavenge. You didn't need a degree in psychology. So I believed for years what Ursula told me, that men like Adam Muller and Walter Bear had emigrated, as they weren't important enough to be hunted down. It was only 30 years later, late one night, drunkenly killing time on the internet, that I googled Nazis plus Canada. And I found some information, and even a Canadian TV programme. And then I got a call. Immigration. Passport. Okay. So, no longer living at the address on rural Route 1, Mr. Goodwin. Moved into an apartment in town and splitting the rent with your girlfriend. That must be very useful. They tell me that Canada is an expensive place for the visitor. Some people have even been known to work whilst on a visitor's visa. That, of course, is against the law. Now, on this form that you have just completed, where it asks, do you have a temporary or permanent work position? You have answered no. So, it is correct that you do not have any sort of employment here in Canada. Think carefully before you answer this question, Mr. Goodwin. A visitor. That is your last word. Adam Muller. You know the name. He runs a small tobacco farm out near Union. Mr. Goodwin? Mr. Goodwin, you have been working illegally on Adam Muller's farm, haven't you? After stating at point of entry into Canada that you would not seek or take employment, and after signing this form to say that you are not working, what do you have to say? Didn't realize that the rules applied because you're English. You will be deported. I'm going to do a deal with you, Mr. Goodwin. We've been in touch with Adam Muller, and he has been very understanding and generous. He needs you to get his crop off. I'm going to put a temporary work permit in your passport, Mr. Goodwin. So long as you work for Adam Muller and no one else, and you leave these shores 1 month after leaving his employ. Do you agree, Mr. Goodwin? Even now, I shudder when I think back. I was just plain dumb stupid. So, the next day, Adam comes up to me and informs me that he's cutting my wages in half. Do I have anything to say about it? And he smiles. He'd done a deal with immigration. I was helping Adam clean out this disgusting chicken roost. And he didn't stop. In France, I like France, but it is wasted on the Frenchmen. Is that funny, eh? The French girls. They too good for the Frenchmen. So, we had taken the men from the fields and shot them, and we search. And we find plenty of wine, and we have a good drink. And we find a young girl hiding in the barn. She pretty. At this point in the war, we have had no tale for months. But she doesn't understand. She just cry and shake. So, we tie her to a ladder and we have some fun. One after another. She makes some noise. Then it is my turn again. when she go quiet and still. Still. She's no good to anyone anymore. Even 40 years later, it's near impossible to explain how you felt with someone like Adam. The only man I ever met who I could have murdered in cold blood. But I didn't. I did nothing. Even after I saw him mistreating Joe, an old Indian he had working for him. Even after he shopped me to immigration. Even after he kept telling me these stories that... I did nothing. And then he tells me that this disgusting shed is for some Trinidadian guest workers he's got coming to help get the crop off. It never did work out between me and Ursula. When I got back to England, I decided I was going to report Adam as a war criminal. But I didn't. I did nothing. And then when Ursula's parents were over in Europe, they stopped off to see me. After the usual small talk, I asked Ursula's dad if Adam was still about. "Nope," he says. "He got to hearing that they were after him. And then one night, he just up and went. Nope. They never did catch that boy." I got friendly with Clyde Pearson. He'd been a heavyweight boxer back in Trinidad, although he was as courteous as any man you'd ever meet. You didn't mess with Clyde. You'd see him. His shoulders, his arms. You'd know that this was a man who could kill you in one blow. He was Ganga for the Trinidadians, and he needed his muscle to keep them boys in line. Adam treated them like dogs, kept docking them pay and making them work after they were supposed to finish. But Clyde calmly kept a lid on the pressure cooker. It was the age of the internet. One night, too much to drink, I googled Nazis plus Canada. And as I went down the page, clicking open the links, I made a disturbing series of discoveries. After the war, Canada was still trying to stock up on people and had a tacit policy of importing white people who might manage farms and other places of work. It seemed that being in the Gestapo or SS was perfect training for would-be managers. Their previous CV, so long as not too high-ranking, didn't disqualify them. I saw snatches of film of Adam's fellow Nazis, now old men, in Toronto and other places. Adam may have been hunted down and gone to ground in 1990, but there were still others free on the streets. But how did Adam escape the war? It's the end of the war. Things are not looking good for Adam. It is not a good time to be an officer in the SS. I was on the outskirts of Berlin. Berlin was bombed to shit. I was holed up in what was left of a house. When I saw them, a line of soldiers picking their way through the debris in the road, looking for someone. They weren't American, Russian. I caught some words. of a poleaxe. A volunteer unit. I know a little Polish. I understand. They were looking for me. They come to the house I was hiding in. They find me. They not take prisoner. They come near where I was hiding. I can hear them talking. Smell their cigarettes. But they stupid. Too much talking. They go off. One of them stays behind for a shit. I know what to do. Quietly, up behind him, wrap my hands around his throat, and squeeze! My God, I never squeezed like this before. If we make a sound, the others will hear, and I am dead. Squeeze! My fingers are breaking, sinking into the flesh. He tries to struggle, but he can't get a grip. And squeeze! Shit comes pouring out over my feet. And he goes limp. I let him down. Gentle. To the ground. Careful not to get any mess on his uniform. I need that. The uniform is a tight fit. But at this point in the war, no one is looking to ask who your tailor is. And off I go. Walking to the American lines. I speak a little Polish. The sons of bitches treat me like a goddamn hero! Is that funny? Eh? It had been going well. 3 weeks, 7 days a week. The Trinidadian boys had had a night out in Toronto, and some of them didn't get back for work the next day. They'd worked every day since they arrived at the farm. I figured they were due a night out. Adam docked them 5 days' pay. Clyde told me in the morning that the boys had had enough. Somehow he got them out into the fields. The loads came regular enough into the kilns, then after lunch they stopped. Adam was relaxing in the sun by the track. Saw Clyde striding up from the fields. I'd never seen Clyde angry before. Adam stood up as Clyde approached, and Adam looked as relaxed as if he was facing his pet dog. "What are you doing? Get back to work." Adam was a powerful man, but only half the size of Clyde. I was watching and waiting. I said, "Get back to work." "I ain't going back to work. None of us are. We had enough." "You're not telling me what you're going to do. This is my farm. I bring you here to work. Now you get back, or I make trouble for you." Clyde stopped 5 yards from Adam. He shook with anger, the muscles down his arms trembling. Adam stood his ground, still staring at Clyde, smiling. "I'm gonna kill you with my hands," said Clyde, moving forwards. I willed him on. He was going to do what I had wanted to do. "I'm telling you, get back to work." Clyde took one more step. I saw him wading in, smashing Adam to the ground, ripping and tearing at him, kicking him to pieces. I saw Adam battered and dead. But Clyde stopped. For years, I wondered what Clyde saw as he stared inside Adam. Because at that moment, he just turned and went back to the fields. Adam, still smiling, sat back down on the grass. Ursula always told me I had a story to kill for. And she was right. The story was always a conversation stopper at parties. And then someone would always ask, why hadn't Clyde destroyed the man? And I couldn't answer. I know now what it was. And it took me time to realise why Clyde had backed down that day in the tobacco fields. At that moment, when the two men locked eyes, Clyde saw inside the darkness that was at the heart of Adam. Confronted by such evil, he could only turn away. There's an old saying, all that is necessary for evil to succeed is for good men to do nothing. I was just another good man.
Build a town, be proud to show, keep the name Tobacco Road, 'cause it's home, the only life I ever know. I despise you 'cause you're filthy, but I loved you 'cause you're home.